The Stranger at the Ranch. It was a still moonlit night at Heartland. The stars shimmered like diamonds, scattered across a velvet sky, and a cool breeze whispered through the leaves of the tall poplars surrounding the ranch. All was quiet, peaceful. Inside the house, Amy Fleming slept soundly, wrapped in the warmth of familiar dreams and the comfort of home. But that peace shattered in an instant. A sharp, metallic clang echoed across the fields. Then the horses began to cry out loud, frantic, terrified. It wasn't just a restless shuffle or a startled whinny. It was panic. Amy bolted upright, heart racing. She threw off the covers, grabbed her jacket and flashlight, and raced out into the night. The cold air bit at her skin, but she barely noticed. Every instinct in her body screamed. Something was wrong. The barn loomed ahead, cast in eerie shadows. As she reached the entrance, she froze. Spartan, her loyal horse, stood completely still in the moonlight. But he wasn't alone. A man tall, motionless, stood just a few feet away from him. His face was hidden under the shadow of a hood. He wore a dark jacket and jeans, his posture calm. Too calm. The flashlight flickered in Amy's hand, casting fleeting shapes across the barn walls. And in that brief flicker, Amy saw something strange. Spartan wasn't scared. He was calm, like he recognized this man. Amy's voice cut through the silence. "Hey, who are you?" The man didn't respond. He simply turned and walked away into the shadows. Amy ran after him. But when she reached the spot where he should have been, nothing. No man. No sound. Not even a single footprint in the dirt. Only the wind. The next morning at Heartland felt unusually heavy, as if the air itself was holding its breath. Amy sat at the kitchen table, her coffee untouched, hands wrapped tightly around the mug for warmth she didn't feel. Jack and Lou listened as she recounted the night before, her voice quiet, measured, but edged with disbelief. "It was dark, I couldn't see his face," Amy said, eyes distant. But Spartan, he wasn't afraid. He was calm. Too calm. Like he knew him. Jack's brows furrowed. He leaned back in his chair, his expression turning grave. Spartan doesn't trust strangers. Never has. Not even the vet the first time. Lou glanced between them, her face tense. "You think someone broke in? A thief, maybe?" Amy shook her head slowly. "No, it didn't feel like that. It wasn't dangerous. It felt familiar." The day drifted on, but Amy couldn't stop thinking about it. The memory clung to her like a shadow. That afternoon, Lindy was playing near Spartan's stall, giggling softly to herself. Amy, still distracted, didn't pay much attention until she heard her daughter's voice clearly. "Mommy, Daddy came home." Amy's heart stopped. "What did you say, sweetie?" she asked, her voice trembling. Lindy looked up with innocent certainty in her eyes. "I saw Daddy last night. He was with Spartan. He smiled at me." For a moment, everything around Amy blurred. Her breath caught in her throat. Her hands trembled. "Lindy, that's not possible," she whispered, barely able to speak the words. But Lindy just nodded, smiled, and continued playing as if she'd said nothing out of the ordinary. Later, unable to ignore the feeling gnawing at her chest, Amy returned to the barn alone. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the wooden walls. She searched for anything, any sign she hadn't imagined at all. And then she saw it. Near Spartan's stall, half buried in the hay, was a photograph. Old, faded, worn around the edges. She picked it up with shaking fingers. It was a picture of her and Ty, taken years ago. A moment frozen in time before everything changed. On the back, scrawled in Ty's unmistakable handwriting, was a single word: forever. Amy staggered backward, her vision blurred. Her heart pounded in her ears. This hadn't been there before. She was sure of it. Was someone playing a twisted joke? Or was something deeper at play, something she couldn't begin to understand? That night, sleep never came. Amy sat on her bed, the photo clutched in her hands, tears silently trailing down her cheeks. Just before dawn, she heard the quiet creak of the mailbox outside. She rushed out, heart pounding. The road was empty. No footsteps. No sound. But inside the mailbox was a single envelope. No name. No return address. Inside was a note, written in Ty's handwriting. She would know it anywhere. I never meant to leave you. The words knocked the air from her lungs. The letter slipped from her fingers. Her knees nearly gave out. She was shaking, crying, disbelieving. But deep down, a tiny spark of hope flickered. The next day, Amy brought the letter to Jack. She said nothing, just handed it to him. Jack took one look and his eyes softened. "This is Ty's writing," he said, voice low. "There's no doubt." Lou wasn't convinced. "Jack, come on." It could be someone mimicking him. A fan. Someone sick in the head. Amy looked at them both, her voice steady despite the chaos inside her. Spartan wasn't scared. Lindy saw him. And now this? It's not a coincidence. Jack met her eyes and placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Then we figure out what's going on. We find the truth. That afternoon, Amy reviewed the barn security footage. It only recorded short clips at night. She scrolled through shadows and silence, nearly ready to give up until one moment stopped her cold. There, just 1 second of video. A man standing still in front of the camera. Dark jacket. Worn boots. And just before the footage glitched and went black, the light hit his face. Amy gasped. It was him. Ty? She froze the frame. Rewound. Played it again. Again. It wasn't a trick of the light. Not a dream. It was Ty Borden. Alive. Tears streamed down her face as she pressed pause again and stared. For one precious second, he had come back. Later that morning, Lou came over. Amy showed her the video. Lou was quiet for a moment, then shook her head. No, Amy. This can't be real. It's a trick. A deepfake video, maybe. There are apps for this now. Amy's voice trembled. You think I faked it? Lou sighed. No, but someone else could have. Someone who wants to hurt you. Amy turned away. Spartan didn't panic. Lindy said she saw him. And this, she held up the note. This is his handwriting. You can feel it in your heart, Lou. Can't you? Lou didn't answer. Later, Amy took the note to Georgie. She and Georgie had always been close, more like sisters than cousins. Georgie held the note carefully. This is Ty's style. His words. His way of speaking. Then Georgie's face changed. Wait, look at this, she said, pointing to a tiny mark on the corner of the paper. A number. 102 AL. Georgie typed it into her laptop. After a few tense seconds, a file blinked onto the screen. Amy leaned in. It's a code, she whispered, fingers trembling. Her eyes scanned the string of numbers and letters. It's linked to a wildlife rescue group in northern Alberta. One T volunteered with years ago, before we were even married. Jack stood behind her, silent, watching. Amy stared at the screen like it might come alive. Her voice dropped to a whisper. He's trying to tell us something. This isn't random. It's a breadcrumb. That night, as darkness wrapped around the quiet town, something strange happened at the clinic. Amy had stayed late, finishing up paperwork and restocking supplies. A new vet had recently moved to the area, Dr. Lucas. He was quiet, polite, and had only sent emails so far. Amy had never met him face to face. As she stepped outside to lock up, the cool wind made her shiver. That's when she saw it. A figure walking away from the building. Slow, purposeful. "Hey!" she called out. "We're closed." The figure didn't respond, just kept walking, a little faster now, before vanishing into the tree line without a sound. Amy rushed back inside. She checked every room, her heartbeat hammering. Nothing seemed out of place until she reached the counter. A black glove lay there, one she hadn't seen before. She picked it up with shaking hands. Inside was a tag, 3 letters stitched in faded thread, TB. Amy's breath caught. Her chest tightened. Her world tilted just a little. Back at the ranch, she told Jack everything. Her voice trembled, but her eyes were steady. Jack rubbed his chin, his expression unreadable. "This isn't just someone messing with you. This feels real. It feels like he's here, watching." Amy nodded slowly. "Then why doesn't he just come out? Why stay hidden?" Jack's eyes darkened. "Maybe he can't. Maybe he's in danger. Maybe he's protecting you again." Amy turned to the window. Outside, Lindy was brushing Spartan, completely at ease. "He is protecting us," she whispered. "Just like always." Days passed, but the weight of the mystery only grew heavier. Amy returned to the clinic later that week, pulled by something she couldn't explain. She moved through each room slowly. Everything was in its place, but something felt different, like a whisper hiding in the silence. She opened a cupboard near Ty's old desk. It creaked softly. Inside sat a small wooden box, one she had never seen before. Her breath caught. Hands trembling, she opened it. Inside were 3 things. An old, worn photo of Ty holding a wolf pup, smiling like he used to. A necklace she'd given him on their 2nd anniversary, one he never took off. And a small, leather-bound journal. Amy opened it slowly. The handwriting on the first page made her knees go weak. It was his. "If you're reading this, I'm sorry. I didn't want to go, but I had to disappear. You and Lindy were in danger. They were watching me, watching you. So I left to keep you safe." The words blurred through Amy's tears. Ty had faked his death. He hadn't left by choice. He had vanished to protect the people he loved most. Amy clutched the journal to her chest and ran home. Her boots pounded the dirt path. She burst into the kitchen where Jack and Lou were sipping coffee. Without a word, she set the journal down on the table and opened it. They read the page in stunned silence. Amy's voice broke the stillness. "He's alive and he never stopped loving us." Jack's eyes brimmed with tears. "Then we're not waiting anymore. We find him. We bring him home." Lou, pale and shaken, stared at the journal. "If he's alive, then so are the people who were after him. We need to be careful. We don't know who we're up against." Amy nodded, eyes fierce. "He's close. I can feel it. And I'm not stopping until I hold him again." The truth breaks through. The wind howled louder than usual that morning. The trees groaned. The barn doors creaked on their hinges. But it wasn't the wind that woke Amy. It was a dream. No, not just a dream. A memory wrapped in something deeper. Ty was standing in the barn, half in shadow, whispering her name. She turned, heart pounding, and he looked into her eyes. "Check the tree," he said softly. Amy bolted upright in bed, breath ragged. "What tree?" she whispered aloud. Then it hit her. The old oak. The one near the river. The one they carved their names into years ago. She didn't hesitate. She dressed quickly, grabbed her jacket, and ran into the misty morning light. The fog hung low as she reached the familiar spot. The ancient oak stood tall, scarred by time but still strong. Her fingers traced the bark, searching for the Mark Plus Amy, faint but still there. And then she saw it. A small wooden box, hidden behind a loose piece of bark, nailed carefully into the tree. Her hands trembled as she pulled it free and opened it. Inside was a folded note and the necklace she gave Ty on their first wedding anniversary. Amy gasped. The note read, "You're close now, but if you keep looking, you might be in danger too. Be careful, Amy. They're still watching." She pressed the necklace to her heart, tears falling freely now. "Ty, what happened to you?" she whispered. And in the silence of the forest, with the weight of the truth finally breaking through, she vowed one thing: she would find him, no matter what it took. Back at the ranch, Amy showed the box to Jack. Jack frowned. "This is the second time he's warned us. He's not hiding because he wants to. He's running from someone or something." Amy nodded. "Then we need help. Someone who knew him before all of this. Someone outside the family." Jack picked up his phone. "There's one man Caleb once said Ty worked with a guy up north during that bear rescue project. I think his name was Sam Kincaid." Later that day, Jack called Sam and asked him to come by the ranch. When Sam arrived, his face was pale. He looked around like he was checking for trouble. Amy showed him the journal and the notes. Sam stayed quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You weren't supposed to find out." Amy's eyes narrowed. "You know something, don't you?" Sam nodded slowly. "Ty worked with us undercover. There were people involved in illegal wildlife trading. Dangerous people. He agreed to help expose them, but things went bad. Real bad. He went missing. We were told not to talk about it, for our safety and yours." Amy's voice trembled. "Why now? Why come back?" Sam shook his head. "Maybe he thinks the danger is over. Or maybe it's just beginning again." Georgie stepped forward. "We found a code. 102 AL. It led us to a place in Alberta." Sam's eyes widened. "That's where we lost contact with Ty. He went to check on a wildlife shelter. He never came back." Amy whispered, "What if he never left? What if he's been hiding there all this time?" Amy and Georgie drove to the Alberta shelter. It was deep in the woods, quiet, almost forgotten. An old man greeted them at the gate. "Looking for someone?" he asked. Amy showed him the necklace. "I'm looking for Ty Borden." The man's eyes softened. "He used to be here. Kind man. Helped us rebuild after the fire. He didn't say much about his past." Amy's heart jumped. "Where is he now?" "He left a few days ago. Said it was time to go home. Left this for someone named Amy." He handed her a letter. Amy opened it with shaking hands. "If you found this, I know you won't stop. But please be safe. They followed me once. I won't let them hurt you or Lindy. I'm coming back, but I can't stay unless I know the threat is gone." A tear fell onto the page. He had been here. So close. Reunited, but not safe. That night, under a sky painted with stars, Heartland seemed to hold its breath. Amy sat alone on the front porch, wrapped in her jacket, eyes lifted to the heavens. The wind had quieted, but her heart had not. The silence was heavy, not peaceful like the world was waiting. Jack stepped out quietly and lowered himself into the chair beside her. He didn't speak for a long time. Then he said softly, "He's trying to come home." Amy's eyes didn't leave the stars. "I just hope he makes it, before they find him again." Inside the house, Lindy slept soundly, her little hands tucked under her cheek. But outside, just beyond the barn, the shadows were moving. A shape lingered near the fence, silent and still. The horses stirred, but they didn't panic. Spartan looked up, ears forward, and gave a slow, quiet nod. Amy's breath caught. She stood slowly, turning toward the dark edge of the yard. And then, from the tree line, a figure stepped into the light. Worn boots, tired eyes, a familiar stance. Ty Borden. Alive, flesh and blood, but changed. Not the man who left, the man who survived. Amy froze, eyes wide, lips parted. For a heartbeat, the world stood still, and then she ran. Her legs moved before her mind could catch up. She crossed the porch in a blur, her boots slamming against the wooden steps. "Ty!" she cried, voice breaking. He opened his arms, and she crashed into them. His hands gripped her like he was afraid she'd disappear. Tears soaked her face. His voice was a rasp, rough and quiet. "Amy." She held him like she'd never let go again. But even in that moment, wrapped in each other's arms, the danger lingered. Ty's eyes scanned the horizon, watching, always watching. Inside the house, the screen door creaked open. Jack appeared, confused by the sound. He blinked against the porch light, then stopped cold. Amy and Ty, together. For a moment, he couldn't move. His voice cracked. "I don't believe it." Ty gave a tired, knowing smile. "Believe it, Jack." Jack walked forward slowly, then pulled him into a hug. A lifetime of pain, silence, and unanswered prayers collapsed into that single embrace. No words, just the weight of family beginning to heal. Footsteps pounded down the stairs. Lou appeared, mouth open, frozen halfway between disbelief and tears. "Ty?" Behind her, a small voice broke through the hallway. "Daddy?" Lindy stood in her pajamas, barefoot and blinking. Ty's eyes welled up as he knelt to the ground. "Hey, sweetheart." Lindy ran to him, wrapping her arms around his neck like she'd done in her dreams. And as the family stood wrapped in the shock of a miracle, one truth echoed louder than the night wind. Ty Borden was home. But the fight wasn't over. Ty dropped to his knees, arms open. Lindy ran to him, and he held her tight. His shoulders shook. He kissed her forehead. "I missed you so much, sweetie." But the moment didn't last. Ty stood and looked around the house. His smile faded. "We don't have much time." Amy's voice was soft. "Time for what?" "They know I'm back." In the kitchen, Ty explained everything. After helping with the wildlife case, Ty had uncovered something bigger: illegal animal trafficking, even ties to missing people. When he got too close, they came after him. "They tried to kill me," Ty said, "but someone helped me fake my death. I didn't want to leave you, Amy. I had no choice." Amy sat beside him, holding his hand. "Why come back now?" "Because they found me again. And this time, they followed me to Alberta." Lou asked the question on everyone's mind. Are we in danger now? Ty looked around at the people he loved. Yes, yes. The next morning, Ty and Jack checked the barn and fences. Amy watched from the window, her heart heavy. Ty was back, but they couldn't even breathe without fear. Georgie pulled up to the house. She rushed in. I checked the road cameras. 2 black vans drove past the ranch last night. Both had no plates. Amy's stomach dropped. They're watching us, Ty said. They're waiting for me to lead them to the files I took. But I didn't bring them here. Jack stepped forward. Then what do we do? Ty looked toward the mountains. We lead them away. I'll draw them out, away from the ranch. Amy grabbed his arm. You just got back. You're not leaving again. If I stay, Ty said, they'll never stop coming. That night, Ty sat alone in the barn with Spartan. The old horse nuzzled against him, calm and steady, just like before. Amy walked in and sat beside him. I waited for you, she whispered. I know, Ty said. Every day, I wished I could tell you the truth. Amy touched his face. Don't go again. Ty looked into her eyes. I'll come back. I promise. But I have to finish what I started, so no one else loses their family like I almost lost mine. At dawn, Ty kissed Lindy goodbye. He hugged Jack, nodded at Lo, and shook George's hand. Amy stood at the truck, tears in her eyes. Ty wiped one away. I'll be back, Amy. This time, I'll find a way home for good. Amy placed something in his hand, his necklace. To remind you who you are, she said. He closed his hand around it. I love you. Then he drove away. But what he didn't know. In the woods beyond the road, someone was watching with binoculars. A voice on a radio said, Target has moved. Follow and wait for orders. The fight for home. The old road wound through the hills like a scar, dusty and forgotten. Ty Borden drove alone, the sky heavy with clouds. On the seat beside him, a small flash drive, a worn photo of Amy and Lindy, and his wedding ring. He hadn't worn the ring in years. Now it was back on his finger. He whispered, almost home, though he was driving away from it. What Ty didn't know was that 2 black vans were already tailing him from the ridge. Inside, men with dark eyes and silent radios waited for the signal. They didn't just want the files. They wanted to erase Ty Borden for good this time. Back at Heartland, Amy couldn't sit still. She cleaned the barn twice. She made breakfast no one ate. She stared at the horizon as if Ty might walk back over it at any moment. Lindy came into the kitchen. Is Daddy coming back today? Amy knelt and hugged her tight. I hope so, sweetie. He promised, remember? Lindy nodded. He doesn't break promises. Amy smiled, but her eyes were full of fear. Meanwhile, Ty reached an abandoned ranger station deep in the woods. It was the place where everything had started, the first tip, the first raid, the first threat. He stepped inside, placed the flash drive on the table, and opened his laptop. Suddenly, a sound outside. Footsteps. Ty shut the laptop, grabbed the flash drive, and slipped behind a cabinet. The door creaked open. A man stepped in, holding a gun. Too late, Borden. Ty didn't wait. He jumped from behind, knocking the man to the ground. Another came through the window. Ty kicked the table toward him, then ran for the back door. The forest swallowed him. But the fight wasn't over. Back at Heartland, Georgie tracked Ty's GPS. He stopped moving, she said, looking at the map. Near Crooked River. Jack stood up. We're going. Lou grabbed her keys. We can't let him fight alone. Amy looked at them. I'm coming too. No, Jack said. If they're watching the ranch, you and Lindy are the targets. You stay here. Keep Heartland safe. Amy wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. Deep in the forest shadows, Ty crouched beneath a fallen log. His breath was uneven, his leg torn and bleeding, but his grip on the flash drive never wavered. The sound of footsteps. Then a familiar voice. Thought you could leave us out of the fun? Jack stepped into view, shotgun in hand, with Lou and Georgie right behind him, tough, determined, and ready. Ty's cracked lips curled into a smile. You always find a way. With smoke grenades borrowed from Caleb's old rodeo stash and Lou flooring the truck in reverse, they fought their way through the trees together. George's aim was sharp, Jack's eyes sharper. Family wasn't just who you were born with, It was who fought beside you when everything was on the line. Jack tossed Ty his old cowboy hat with a wink. Time to go home, cowboy. The next morning, a breeze swept over Heartland as birds sang gently in the trees. Peace for the first time in years. Then came the sound of tires on gravel. Amy rushed to the porch. Ty stepped out of the truck, bloodied, bruised but alive. She ran into his arms, tears streaming. You kept your promise. He held her tightly. Always. Inside, Ty handed the flash drive to a local officer who had risked everything to help in secret. It's all there, Ty said. The network. The payments. The truth. It's over. The officer nodded with respect. You could have stayed in hiding. Most would have. Ty looked across the room at Lindy, who was holding Spartan's old ribbon, and then at Amy. I had a reason to come home. That night, the family sat around a crackling fire. No more secrets. No more fear. Just warmth. Just healing. Amy leaned her head on Ty's shoulder. What now? He smiled softly. Now we heal. Together. Lindy giggled as she placed a crown of wildflowers on his head. You're king of the ranch now, Daddy. Ty laughed, really laughed for the first time in what felt like forever. It echoed through the yard like music the land hadn't heard in years. Outside, the horses grazed peacefully under the stars. The shadows were gone. The nightmare had ended. Ty Borden was finally home. And this time, he wasn't leaving. Thank you. To every Heartland fan who's waited, hoped, and dreamed alongside Amy, Lindy, and the rest of the family, thank you. This story was written with love for you. Ty is back. The heart of Heartland beats stronger than ever. And the ride isn't over yet. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and never stop believing. From all of us at UK Pulse.